Eyes are the window to the soul. It's an old quote that most people have heard of at least once in their life. It's also wrong. Windows are there to keep unwanted things out of the house, things like bugs, the cold, and loud sounds, while letting the light in and allowing people to look out. The soul isn't half as protected as that. The eyes are more a sort of doors to the soul. Close them and you close the door, safely keeping the thing behind it hidden, but open them and you leave your soul vulnerable. The soul is an important part of you. You might not know it, but it is, and that's why it's very valuable. You could sell it, it's worth a lot, and it could get you almost anything you ask for, but you don't have to trade it. You could also gamble it. There are certain entities that would do anything they have for a chance to get one. Ghosts that have sold their own soul and are desperate to trade theirs for yours, and lower-ranking demons that are looking to increase their station, just to name a few. I knew what I was getting into. I was desperate. My daughter was dying from an unknown disease. The doctors were doing everything they could, but they didn't have the answers, and they couldn't save my little girl. I was willing to do anything to save her, and that's when I found a possible solution. It's called the soul bargain. You offer up your soul to any willing to take it. If they win, they can have it. But if they lose, you get to ask a question. They have to answer truthfully, but you need to ask the correct questions, because they will try and milk it for as long as they can. They know that you'll end the game as soon as you get the answers that you want. Here's how you play the game. Go into a room that has a light source big enough to light up the entire room, and turn all the lights off. Make sure that the room is as dark as possible and take a seat somewhere. You need to sit with your back to the light switch in the middle of the room. Close your eyes and make sure that there is ample room between your face and the wall. If there isn't, use a different room. When you're ready to start, say the following: I offer up the prize behind my eyes in exchange for a conversation with the first to make their presence known. Stay seated. The game begins when the lights turn on. Ask a question and wait for the answer. You have to open your eyes after the question is answered. You lose if you meet the eyes of your opponent. They'll smile and thank you for the game, and you'll die within a few days. It could be anything from a heart attack to an unnoticed gas leak. Don't try to avoid your fate. It'll only make the chances of you meeting your end in a gruesome way all the more likely. If you don't look your opponent in the eyes, then you get to continue. Either ask another question or close your eyes and walk over to the light switch. Thank them for their time and ask them to leave. Turn off all the lights and leave the room before opening your eyes. Most of them don't like losing, and they might take it out on you if you end the game too quickly for their liking. I chose my bedroom. It's not a huge room, but it meets all the requirements, and it's somewhere I could easily move around in. I tidied up a bit to make sure that I wouldn't trip on my way to the light switch with my eyes closed, and put all the unnecessary items underneath my bed. I turned the lights off, sat down and said, I offer up the prize behind my eyes in exchange for a conversation with the first to make their presence known. I expected it to take a while, But the light turned on almost immediately. It wasn't just the click of the light that caught my attention. I could actually feel the change in the atmosphere. I knew that there was something behind me. It didn't feel friendly. It felt angry. I asked my first question, "Can you tell me how to heal my daughter?" That wasn't specific enough. I hadn't thought about how to phrase my questions. I was too desperate to finally get the answers that I was looking for. Is what it told me. It was an answer, but it was of no use to me. All it told me was that my instinct was correct. The thing was angry. It had almost sneered the answer at me, almost as if the answer was forced out of it. I opened my eyes. Just a second. Looking at the floor, I didn't see any eyes. I was glad that I would be able to continue. I closed my eyes again and asked my second question, being more careful of my wording this time around. What is the name of the disease that my daughter is currently dying from? It gave me an answer. I won't share the name. It was something that I had never heard before, but it was something. I felt elated, but I had to focus. It wasn't over yet. The sound had come from my left this time instead of from behind me. That surprised me. I hadn't even heard the thing move. I moved my head to the right and opened my eyes. I was looking at my bookshelf. I only had my eyes open for a second before closing them again. I let out a relieved sigh and thought about what I wanted my third question to be. How should I treat her? No, that's too vague. It could give me the answer I was looking for, but it could also tell me something along the lines of kindly or with respect. It took me a second, but then I had it. What should I tell my daughter's doctors to do or a test for it to give her the best chance of recovery? It was surprisingly helpful this time around. I had expected to have to ask a few more clarifying questions, but it gave me very detailed instructions on how exactly to help my daughter and how to explain it to my daughter's medical team. I didn't think much about it. Too happy and too focused on remembering to be suspicious of anything. It still hadn't made any sound besides answering my questions, but it had moved again. The sound had come from my right this time. I looked to my left and opened my eyes, and I immediately knew that I had made a mistake. The thing had moved the mirror that I tucked away under my bed so that I wouldn't trip on it, and put it on my nightstand. The thing was standing to the right of me. It didn't have any horns or wings, but it didn't need any of those things. There was no mistaking this thing for human. It was horrifying, almost too big to fit into the room. It would be too big if it was standing upright, but it wasn't. It was bending its body in an unnatural way. It reminded me of one of those street signs after they've been hit by a car. Sturdy, but all out of shape. But the worst was its smile. The smile was incredibly wide. An actual grin from ear to ear. It didn't only smile with its lips, it also smiled with its eyes. They sparkled. It thanked me for my time and told me that it would be back to collect in 3 days, and then it just disappeared. It didn't leave the room. It was just there 1 second and gone the next. 3 days, it had said. That was 2 days ago. I have spent all of my time with my daughter. She's been doing well, and the doctors expect her to make a full recovery. I have written letters for her to remember me by when I am no longer here. I haven't told her that I won't be with her for much longer. She doesn't need to know, and she'd only blame herself if she did. I don't regret my choices, and I have made my peace with the fact that I don't have a lot of time left. I just hope that it will be quick. I am not looking for advice, only to inform those willing to attempt the game themselves. I am not trying to discourage anyone from playing. It has given me exactly what I wanted. I just hope that others learn from my mistakes. Good luck.